In this week's vlog, we are taking a look at the Pro 4 lineup from JOOLA. Now that all 5 shapes are available, we wanted to see what is the difference in power and control we can expect from each of these shapes. Each of these paddles will feature the same core, the same surface and face material, so all other factors aside, they should feel very similar. They are very power-oriented paddles. They are meant to be handled by the pros out there who can handle the amount of power they generate and keep it controlled. There are some obvious differences between the 5 shapes of these paddles. We know the Magnus will be the most elongated, the longest and thinnest profile will give you extra leverage, extra power on the court, especially compared to the Scorpeus. This is the most square shape in the lineup. This is going to be a control player's best friend. Beyond that, the other shapes can be a little similar in length and width, and then other factors of their shape will change how they perform. With the Hyperion, we have a curved teardrop shape to the top of the paddle. This is gonna change where the sweet spot lies, and it's gonna expand it a bit. This may bring down the power just a tad, but it is an increase in that control you get from having an expanded sweet spot. That is directly comparable to the Perseus, which is almost the same length and width as the Hyperion, but we know is the power-packed paddle of the lineup. Pickleball paddles are complex. We know there's not one factor that'll dictate exactly how much power or control a paddle has, but it's of course the combination of factors. This includes the weight, the balance, the surface material, the face, the core. The collection of these ingredients will kind of dictate the power output and control each paddle has to offer. So just by measuring the swing weight of each of these paddles, we're able to tell the difference that the weight and balance will output. The swing weight will tell you kind of how much plow through the paddle has in your hand. Again, this is driven strictly from the weight and balance of each paddle, so it does not take into consideration the surface and the core. That will also influence the amount of power each paddle will have. We use the Head 4-in-1 machine to measure the swing weight of each of these paddles. This has quickly become an industry leader in measuring the swing weight of pickleball. Now that it has a grip and clamp system that adapts to the length of a pickleball paddle, you're not getting a tennis number from an RDC machine, you're getting a pickleball number from that 4-in-1 machine from Head. We wanted to look at how these paddles compared to each other and the amount of swing weight that we measured from them. This doesn't mean that any of them have a ton more power than the other. It just measures the difference and kind of lets us put them on a similar scale to say, within the lineup, where does power output lie when you strip it down for parts and only measure the weight and shape and how much they influence that number. From our findings, going from the lowest swing weight to the highest, starting on the lowest end, we got the Scorpeus, then the Hyperion, then the Magnus, the Perseus, and then the Agassi. We were a little surprised at the tail end of this on the highest swing weight number there. We thought the Perseus in the market is regarded as the most power-packed paddle in the lineup. The Agassi becoming the leader. You may think the shape may not tell that story, but other factors do. The weight and balance of this paddle are shifted a little higher. This was intentional in the design. We know the Andre Agassi influence of wanting that paddle to feel as much like a tennis racket, to keep that familiarity and all the benefits he brings from his tennis game into pickleball are shown in that swing weight number. The swing weight of the Agassi paddle being the highest in the lineup tells us that it has the most plow through, it's gonna feel the most like a tennis racket in your hand, and now this number does make more sense to us. On the other end of the spectrum, the Scorpeus on the lowest end of swing weight makes perfect sense. This is the shortest paddle in length within the lineup, and whenever you have a paddle that's more wide than it is tall, it's gonna offer more control, and the trade-off is a bit less power. Now, coming in on the lower end of the swing weight is actually a benefit for this paddle. Paddles with lower swing weight, meaning they have less plow through, makes them quicker at the net. It makes the paddle a hands battle's best friend. So that's what we think of in the Scorpeus, and that's why we're not surprised that the Scorpeus was on the lowest end of the swing weight spectrum. Now moving on to twist weight. This one is a little more confusing. Swing weight's pretty easy to understand. Plow through is gonna equate to power. Whereas with twist weight, we use this as an indication of control from the paddle. The actual term twist weight is describing how much the paddle will twist on its axis. And this number being high means that it takes a lot of weight to twist that paddle compared to a lower twist weight paddle, which is not gonna be as hard for that axis to twist when it makes impact with the ball. So, to make that in simple terms, a paddle with lower twist weight, we think of having less control because an off-center shot will change the twist in your hand and not have as predictable an output from it. The paddles with the higher twist weight will be easier to control with those off-center shots. It'll be easier to influence the direction and output, the amount of power and spin you're putting on it, even when that ball is off-center because it's a very stable with a high twist weight number. Between the 5 shapes in the lineup, when we measured for twist weight, we found the following rankings, starting with the figure with the lowest twist weight and going to the one with the highest, starting out the Hyperion, then the Agassi, the Perseus, the Magnus, and then the Scorpeus. So the Scorpeus, while being the 5th ranked in swing weight, is the top ranked in twist weight. This one makes perfect sense that we want this to be a control paddle, and it has the most stability and the highest number of twist weight within the lineup. Additionally, we find the Perseus to be the most well-rounded within the lineup. It offers the 2nd most power in the swing weight figure, while it has the 3rd most control in that twist weight. So beyond the Scorpeus being on each end of the spectrum, we found the Perseus to be the closest to the center in both measurements. So these objective measurements, the swing weight and the twist weight, they don't tell the full story, they're just a chapter. We know that the face of these paddles, the surface and the core, will have an influence on that power and control. The shape of these paddles, the weight and the balance are another list of ingredients. So don't take the swing weight and twist weight figures at the surface level. There are many ingredients that dictate the amount of power and control that these paddles have. We just wanted to measure them since a lot of the ingredients are the same. The shape and the weight are the big differentiators. So by measuring these paddles' swing weights and twist weight, we were able to strip away all the other factors and say, where does weight and shape influence how they rank amongst each other? We're not too surprised to see that the Scorpeus is the most control-oriented paddle in this lineup, but we were kind of surprised that the shape of the Magnus did not dictate the most swing weight, rather the Agassi did. Within that, the Hyperion and the Magnus were pretty similar in that fight in the scale of power and control amongst the 5 in the lineup, whereas the Perseus sat as the kind of most control-oriented amongst the power-oriented paddles. If you've played with any of the JOOLA Pro IV paddles and thought one of them may have had more power or control than what we found today just by measuring their swing weight and twist weight, let us know. Again, there's a lot of factors that contribute to the amount of overall power and control they each offer. We were measuring them just by weight and balance alone and how the shape influences those numbers. To shop any of the Pro 4 models from JOOLA, visit us at pickleballwarehouse.com.